Hey guys, welcome to the Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate. I'm your host, Dean Harris, and as always, I'm with Douglas Skipworth. How are you, man?
Hey, man, doing great.
We're bringing you this podcast to give you the boots on the ground knowledge to be a successful real estate investor here in Memphis, Tennessee. Please like and subscribe to Investor's Guide of Memphis Real Estate on YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Show sponsors are listed on the screen below. We couldn't do this show, run our personal rental businesses without them. Triumph Construction, River City Title, Cortland Financial, CrestCore Property Management, and Will Griffin with Griffin, Clift, Everton, and Mashmire. I help buyers and sellers every day, guys. Dean at CrestCore.com. If you have anything you'd like to sell, list, and move here in Memphis, or if you want to buy, get on our buyer profile link where you're receiving the properties we source every day, Dean at CrestCore.com. How's it going?
Great.
Yeah, today's topic is, I love it because I get this call frequently.
Okay.
Weekly, maybe. I get a call from an investor that maybe is a new call or whatever. And whether they come here looking for a specific product or not, typically if they're an investor that's looked everywhere and they're a knowledge-based person, you know, one of the questions they ask is, tell me about multifamily in Memphis and versus single family. You know, like,
good question.
If I don't get the versus, like that's what today's podcast is about. But if I don't get that exact question, multifamily versus single family, I will get the question, how's the multifamily market? Yeah. Right. Most of the buyers come in as single family buyers and they'll have questions about the multifamily market. So today I think we're going to break down just a little bit the differences of the two, maybe some pluses and minuses of both.
Majority, I would say the majority of investors I see have aspirations of graduating from single family into multifamily.
It's sexier.
It sounds like, again, the aspirations of where they start. The majority. Yeah. The minority ever do it.
Yes.
But we're going to talk a little bit about that.
It's difficult to break into one versus the other. And
it's not all it's cracked up to be.
No. So let's talk about multifamily first in Memphis. City really went through, correct me if I'm wrong, the majority of its major development between the 60s and the 80s. Yeah. About a 20-year stretch there, 50s and the 80s, maybe, if you wanted to broaden it for a 30-year
Yeah, that's right.
stretch.
40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Other way it grew out from.
That's right.
Yes.
So we started off, and we do have some multifamily properties down closer to this, downtown and in Midtown. There's some multifamily properties. But as the city developed and grew, we have land. So we didn't have to go up. You know, you go up to the north and some of those northern northeast, especially, just ran out of land. So they got to go north with their housing as well. We just didn't have that problem. Do we have some duplexes here? Some, but not a ton. Right. You know, do we have some multifamily properties here? Some, but they're not, but not a ton. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of the history on why of what I'm about to explain to you now.
Yes.
The majority of the tenants could be $500 to $750 tenants. Yep. That's a tough tenant base in Memphis. It's really tough when you compound it and you have a lot in one spot. Right. Okay. The challenges would come up with any $600 tenant in any area in any location. So now do you not only have maybe one, if you had a single family home that was a $600 or $700 tenant, and you might have one kind of challenging, you've got a complex full of them. So in Memphis, the majority of them are in the areas where that's the tenant base, the paying tenant base. That's the range of where they're at. The nicer ones that you would say are a little further out in some suburban areas, so overpriced and so hard to get a hold of. Yeah. It's so hard to make sense. A lot of those owners have had them for a long time. Yeah. I've looked. I had a buyer a long time ago that wanted multifamily. Most of the multifamily buyers are older. They've been doing this here. Yeah. Right. We have some competitors down the road here that have a lot of multifamily. They compete in that arena and have for forever. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, multifamily can work. I just wouldn't advise it here on a big scale. Yeah. Duplex, quad, maybe we could find that in the right area, but 10 plus units. Yeah. It hasn't been anything that I've recommended. Right. Yeah. And I think I've got, a lot on that. I think just some simple stats is, and we've talked about this before. Goodness, last week we were talking about, I think there are 300,000 single family parcels in Shelby County. And there are about 30,000 commercial, which includes the way they're classified as duplex. So, but that's every commercial. Yeah. So you're talking about 10%, 90% roughly
is single family, 10% is commercial, but that includes office buildings and retail strip centers, whatever. I think it was about, call it 3,000 duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, and 3,000 apartment complexes. So that's just 1%.
Yeah.
So again, so just strictly from a numbers perspective, they're just not as many. So you just can't compete. You just don't get as many looks at it. And then kind of what you were saying there about some of the size of it, like and where they were built. I mean, I find that they're either more challenging as some of the older ones based on location, based on a lot of the age of the building, the way they're built, the style is just not, or like you said, there's some newer, bigger, and those typically go to, syndicate, like when people are syndicating and when they're partnering up with lots of money, have general partner and limited partners, and it's a lot. So, we're talking to our client base who are guys like you and me, who are buying houses, buying properties for themselves, by themselves. Maybe they have a partner friend, but for the most part, they're individuals. And a single family home fits the bill better than a multifamily home.
Yeah. And I think it's less risk. It's less, single family is less of an entry point most of the time.
Yes.
Multifamily is a much larger, especially 10 unit plus can be, $1 million and more or whatever. Yeah. So your entry pool for single family is a lot higher. There's way more of everyone that can, enter into that arena versus the multifamily.
Yeah. That's good. That's a fair point too.
Yes. I just don't, so I'm not I want to be sure that I'm not down on it. In our market, it's tougher to make it work. Yeah. I know you've got some history with it, and you've been able to make it work, especially here in Berkeley.
And haven't. Right. I am a single family guy. I have a multifamily property, one left. That's it. It's just not my thing. It might be your thing. Might be other people's things, but I'm the single family.
But here's a point I wasn't planning to make, and you just said it, I'd like to make. An experienced investor, 20 plus years, you chose not to keep the multifamily here in Memphis and chose to keep the single family. So there's my point.
I would rather have 10 single family units
than a 10 unit.
Than a 12 unit. Then I was like, would it be 14 unit? Probably, maybe a 20 unit. I mean, like a swap. It's rare in investors like us, like you. Yeah. It's rare to have an apartment building with a unit valued over $100,000 per unit.
Yep.
That's rare in Memphis with the guys, with the clients we work with.
That's right.
It's also rare to buy a house for less than $100,000 per unit.
Yeah.
So on a per unit basis, that single family home is almost always more valuable.
There we go.
Almost always.
Okay.
So
this is so juicy. But that's what I'm saying. I wasn't playing on this live example, but go ahead. But you
spread your risk out against 10 different locations versus one location. You got more value. Mm-hmm. To me, the pro list versus the con list, it just outweighs of why the single family home.
I'd like to say again as a preface here, this is Memphis.
Right. And we are biased.
But this is Memphis. Yeah. I'm not talking, don't hit me up with everything in Chicago or Miami or Dallas.
There you go.
I hear you, man. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Memphis.
There you go. Yeah. That's fair.
So that is a live example of an experienced investor who is proving the point that I'm making today. It doesn't work as well here.
It just doesn't work as well. Like the opportunity cost is too great.
Yes. And our appreciation for the single family homes here over the last 10 years has been fantastic. Yeah. And I don't know the level of the multifamily. I know one example over here that I sold over here. Yeah. The guy made another $400,000
It's been 5
years, 6 years.
But again, it on that pro list, the con list for the pro for a single family home is you have two exit strategies. You can sell to an investor or you can sell to an owner occupant. You can only sell to an investor on a multifamily property. It's only valued based on income. Single family can be based on the comps in the neighborhood.
I'm going to ask you this question. This is good. You've sold single family homes. You've sold multifamily homes. Talk about the difference in selling the two. You just said, well, the one good example is you're only going to an investor with multifamily. What else? Anything else with there that you can, the difference when you sold the two?
Again, the investor versus owner, occupant, and then the valuation from the appraiser based on the income, based on in comps that make it good. Those are two that come off the top of my head.
Was it harder to find that buyer?
Oh man! Again, what we talked about, the buyer pool for
so much smaller
for multifamily is so much smaller,
and especially here.
Yeah, and the purchase price is so much higher for 10 units. I'd much rather sell a 10 unit. Excuse me. I'd much rather sell a 10 unit package of single family homes list that for sale than a 10 unit apartment complex. Not to mention you can break the package up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this. Yeah, that's what the point I've been trying to say is like it's not something that's impossible here.
No.
But it's rare that I hear somebody go, man, I've got 40 units over there, and man, I'm just loving it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we talk about the vacancies rates are lower.
Yeah.
You know, for single family homes, vacancy rates are higher, meaning you have more turnover in apartments. It's rare to find people who want to live in an apartment their whole life. And it's definitely not a family.
No.
That's going to be paying more. So it's usually, probably somebody living by themselves. So they're going to pay less rent. They need less space.
Here's another one. That's right. Here's another one.
Yeah.
If you have a single family home and you occupy it with a bad tenant, and don't tell me that you won't, if you're an investor for a long time, you're going to.
Sure.
There's an option to get them out.
Yeah.
You can repaint and refloor and restart. Essentially. Yep. In a multifamily property, let's just say you got 20 units on there and a couple units on the end down there aren't paying rent and they're getting wild. And they don't care. And what are you going to do about it? Try to evict them. Maybe they're paying the rent. Well, how about the units next door? They don't want to deal with it. So maybe they stop paying because I'm not dealing with it. But you got a problem on your hands. It's a fungus. It can grow. So I've always been cautious on.
Yeah, that's true.
If I had something in one place in one spot and there's 20 units and all of a sudden something goes wrong with either the location, the area, or my tenant base is turning on me,
or somebody brings in bed bugs or brings in roaches or brings in or cooking,
burns the whole thing down.
There are all kinds of things. First, the risk, the concentration of an apartment complex is very different than a single family where it's just a self-contained unit sitting out there and you can spread it out.
Is the reason why I chose single family and not multifamily. I have a couple of duplexes.
Yeah.
They're near a school and that's as far as I could take it. So I don't have any. I flipped a multifamily. We've done that. I borrowed from Corbin. Did that. So there's that aspect. But I don't.
Now I've got some duplexes. Not my preference. But I'd rather have duplexes than apartment complexes.
Mine are right by a school. So that's the only reason I have them. And they're student occupied. So I wouldn't have them any in it because I don't want 750 tenants.
Right.
And I advise you guys when you buy in Memphis, you need to be 850, 900 and up.
Yeah.
To be a little safer.
And a lot of times, oftentimes you have to provide appliances for the multifamily. The list goes on and on.
Single family usually draws a dual income. That's important. Somebody gets laid off.
We talked about that with just a bigger
room and space versus an apartment. And maybe there's one person in there, So I don't, that's a, I hate to be so doom and gloom if that's the way it sounded, but the good news is we have so many single family opportunities here. We're not running out of those. The multifamily properties, if you're looking for duplexes or tries, we can try. Midtown is where if someone said, "Hey, I do want it," I don't care what you're saying because I get that too.
Yeah.
Midtown for some quads and triplexes.
Yeah,
maybe some multifamily and stuff in Midtown. There's a few older ones in Bartlett, I think, in some areas out. But all in all, I think if you're going to do it, Midtown might be the best option.
Yeah, I got a triplex in Midtown, and it's it's a long story, but I can't wait to sell it.
Really?
Yes. So it's chopped up. It's chopped up funky.
But it's a triplex and you can't wait to sell it.
Yeah.
That's the
I'm
moral of this
locked in a
podcast,
loan with a
like-
big prepayment penalty.
Sure,
so
you
that's
gotta
why I can't
do-
say.
yeah.
But as soon as it's gone. Promise you.
That ought
Promise
to be
you.
what you take out of the podcast
Promise
today.
you. Just a mess.
Yeah. Okay. Guys, thanks for listening. Dean at CrestCore.com. You got anything else you want to add? We done beat him up over the multifamily. Right?
That's good.
All honesty.
That's good.
Thanks for sharing.
Oh, of course.
Because it takes that.
Yeah,
it
of
takes
course.
that to really give you guys, to help you understand some of the heartaches and things that we've been through.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can see it on your face here. It's like,
That's right. I'm not afraid. It's like, that's what it is, man.
It is
I
what
love
it is.
single family. I have had my experience with the multifamily, and hey, it's what it is.
thanks for sharing.
Yeah, man.
Dean at CrestCore.com. If you have anything else, we'll see you next time.